Hi, this is your life coach, Andrea Jackson. Welcome to Joy Life Center Coaching and Consulting. Today, we're going to be talking about triggers like yesterday, but we're going to identify those triggers and now move towards breaking the cycle. So, look, we're going to let some people in. I know you couldn't be here today, but I'm so grateful that you're here. You subscribe to our channel. So, therefore, now you can join us virtually. So I'm going to go ahead and start admitting some people in, and we're going to move forward. Thank you so much for being here. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hey, Bianca, how are you?
Good at yourself.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Again, trying to set this up so that you can just see me. Uh, okay, sorry about this. Here we go. How are you?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Hey, Miss Susu, how are you?
Oh, a little tired, but I'm here. I'm here a
Awesome.
little tired. I've been running, but thank God I'm here.
Thank God, thank God. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, we're going to go ahead and start our check-in. People will be chiming in a little bit, but I'm so grateful that you guys are here. Today, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite lessons. One of the topics that we talk about is breaking cycles. In order to break cycles, it's very important that we identify some triggers as we did yesterday. So I'm excited about today. And as you can see, we're moving into change. We're moving into change. Change is ahead. So that's great. Let's go ahead and start our check-in as others will be chiming in when they come. Miss Bianca, you were the first caller on the line. So go ahead and check in. How you doing this morning? Oh, excuse me, this afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm doing just okay.
Okay.
Just okay. Got a little irritation going on today, but I'm here nonetheless. And
Yeah,
I see that sign said change ahead.
that's
So that's what I'm looking forward to. Thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. Wow. Isn't it wonderful that today we can identify what we're feeling so that we can change? Because it's important for us to identify where we are in order to identify where we're going. Thank you so much for that, Bianca. Miss Susu, go ahead and check in. How are you doing today?
Oh, as I stated earlier, Susan's a little tired, but hey, just a little power nap after a while later on this evening. I'll be feeling great. I feel good. As long as I can move around, I'm feeling good.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Ready to learn. Ready to learn. Amen.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm so grateful for that, Miss Susu. She finds that she knows what she needs, and that's important. Knowing when to take a nap. So many times we just try to push through, not knowing that a little power nap would change our whole being, not only our daily energy, but it also change our mental energy. So that's awesome. So as others are chiming in, we're going to talk today about breaking the cycle. The only way that we can experience the change ahead is if we learn how to break cycles. Now, I want to talk a little bit today. We talked talked about triggers on yesterday, and we found some good ones. We identified some good ones, and you guys are so great that some of them you guys already knew. You already knew what they are and what they trigger. And so when you experience the feeling that you're feeling, or you experience the emotions, the thoughts, when you begin to feel these things, you know, oh, I've just been triggered to a thing. It's not that this thing just popped up out the blue and, you know, there we have it. But now we know, okay, there's internal triggers inside of me, and there's external triggers. So this is one of the greatest things that we must do in order to break old cycles, to discontinue those old unhealthy behaviors. So today I'm going to show you triggers at work. So again, we talked about external triggers. Triggers are people, places, objects, feelings, and times of day, night, the year that causes us to respond. Sometimes we have a craving. Sometimes we have a feeling. Sometimes we have a moment of depression. Whatever your emotional response is, or your mental response, it was triggered. It was triggered from an internal or an external trigger. So I'm going to give you an example. So let's say on Friday night, you just get paid, party's bumping. Y'all know the song. Well, anyway, Friday night, after work, money in your hand, you're around people that you usually are around when you practice these compulsive behaviors. And now you're going into whatever the compulsive behavior, whatever it's a surrounding, maybe a bar, a club, a party, maybe a person's house. So do you see these associations at work? So on Friday night, today, and who you are today, you say, no, I'm not going to operate in these compulsiveness, in this compulsive behavior. I'm breaking that. But on Friday night, I just kind of feel some kind of way. Maybe after work on that Friday evening, I start feeling some kind of way. And sometimes we call it some kind of way because we can't identify it. I like how Bianca, she identified, I'm feeling frustrated. I know what I'm feeling. I'm feeling frustrated. So she knows what to do now proactively to help her in her frustration so that she don't veer off into those old compulsive or unhealthy behaviors. So let's say on after work, you feel some kind of way. You're around people that you're normally around. So what happens is your brain, the addictive part of your brain, that lower brain, it begins to now be at work, because what happens, it begins to associate the triggers. Remember, we talked about brain association. Yesterday, I used the example of a funeral. If you lose a loved one and they play "Oh Precious Lord" at the funeral service, what happens is when you hear that song, maybe 20, 30, 40 years later, it triggers you back to that place where you heard that song, "Oh Precious Lord." And now you're reminded of where that the hurt, where that place, you're automatically recalled to that place. You're not just reminded, you're automatically recalled to that place. So we find that the first thing we need to do in order to break the cycle is identify triggers. Now, you guys identified some powerful triggers yesterday, both internal as well as external. So if you could just repeat to me, we'll start with Miss Susu. What's one of the triggers that kind of causes you or trigger you to that old unhealthy behavior that you're breaking today? What is it?
Oh, wow, 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 wow. Oh my God. Well, the only, I won't say the only thing I could think about though, but as I say, during my drinking days, the thing, but it don't bother me as much now, but it could be a trigger. I could be tempted, but then I don't let my mind go there. You know, I might think about it for a minute or so. You
Mm-hmm.
look at it, you know, you go somewhere and they're drinking, you might be at family, and you look over there, but if you what you call it, or you look at it so long,
Yeah.
I'm trying to say the word, but anyway, I can't call the word off right now, but you're just staring at like the lady in the garden with the apple thing, you just
Yes, gave it too much attention.
right. But then I know to take my thoughts away from there, but it could lead there. It's just like your mind. You leave it open to some, not think about anything could come in. But then if I, like I say, if I be around that, what I know that had me down, that
Uh-huh.
alcohol stuff, I have to turn my mind to something else. So, but it's better, I can sit with them and drink, but I don't want to tempt myself there, because
Right.
we can easily slide over. So I don't want to tempt myself there. So I just think other thing, either I get up and move, go get me a root beer or Dr. Pepper or something. But
Mhm.
like I say, it's not as great as it has been. But that's the thing that I would do, and say, Lord help me. I don't want to go back there. So
Right, right. Awesome. Miss Susu, you talk a lot about the old days of drinking. And it sounds like you've entered into some powerful change ahead of you. Look like that's behind you. Maybe if you can identify a trigger today that causes you, if you can close your camera, go ahead and close your camera for your
oh my
confidentiality,
God,
please.
I didn't even know it was open.
No, I'm sorry, Miss Suso. I'm not speaking to you. We have a new one. We have a new person chiming in, and I was just letting her know to close her camera. If you can look at the bottom of your Zoom and where it shows the camera, just take it off. Say off camera. Just click it once, and you'll be off camera. Her audio is not on yet. Okay. Okay. There we go. Miss Melinda, is your audio started? Okay. If someone can maybe text Miss Melinda and let her know that when she gets ready to speak, she can hit that little microphone that says mute, and she can go ahead and hit it to speak, and then she can hit it again to mute it. And thank you everyone for muting your phones during our group session so that your background noise won't interfere with the call. Thank you so much. Okay, she's connecting to audio. Perfect, perfect. So as I was saying, Miss Susu, I know that it looks like you've experienced some great change from your old drinking days. So tell me, what are some things today that triggers you to some of your unhealthy behaviors today?
Mm, I would say if I'm alone and don't have nobody come through a call, but uh, your mind get to wandering. But
Mhm.
then, like I say, I'm not alone that much. So, but that would be. But like I say, I'm not going back. But that's a test, though, too, for me.
Mhm.
If I'm alone and not doing anything or not occupying my mind. It could possibly drift back there. But I don't think so. But you just don't know what this old mind gonna do. But I'll just occupy the mind. Should I even drive somewhere, go around the corner or something. But
Absolutely.
yeah, or call somebody, go by one of the kids, or just maybe sit in front of the house, or something, for a few minutes, get my mind together. But
Yeah,
like I say, I'm determined not to go back there. But like I say, it only just would take a little moment, a little minute or so, before you know it, your mind is back there, and you may be back there. But I'm determined not to go back there. But I got to keep busy and keep occupied.
Yes, yes, totally. And it seems like you've already implemented some wonderful strategies and techniques so that you don't go back to drinking. But I was saying, of a more current stance, what's something more current? And you don't have to share what that behavior is, but if you don't if you don't want to, if you don't feel comfortable, but what are some things that are more current that you're trying to move away from that unhealthy behavior? What are some things that trigger you to the current things that you're trying to move away from? Because it sounds like you're good. You have your strategies and your techniques with the drinking. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Miss Bianca to give you some time to think, because sometimes all we know how to do is talk about what we've overcome. But how do we overcome the problems of today? What triggers us to the problems of today? So just be thinking about that. I'll come back to you, Miss Susu. I'm going to go to Miss Bianca. Miss Bianca, have you identified what some of the triggers are that trigger you into the area of maybe being triggered to those current unhealthy behaviors? Go ahead, unmute your phone and share.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
For me, anger
Mm-hmm.
was one that really, 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 really was hard for me to deal with, because it was just like when I got angry, it was a rage.
Okay.
All I seen was red, like the bull in front of that red towel.
Lord.
But today, what I want to say is that I've learned how to deal with anger. You know, I don't act out on it.
Okay.
And I think I'm kind of on a lower level now, where it's not anger anymore, but maybe frustration.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
you've got
now,
to learn how to identify it before it goes into anger, knowing
yes,
that it's prone or have been prone to go into anger. So now you're identifying it at its lesser sort.
right. And so by me being able to identify it at its lesser sort, then I know I need to do what I need to do to get that in check. And what do I do to get it in check with the frustration now, not being all the way up there to anger, is either I will talk about it. If I don't have anybody to talk about it to, I know how to talk to myself. I do. I don't go with that philosophy. If you talk to yourself, you're crazy. I don't go with that. So I know how to talk to myself about it, talk myself down. I take walks.
Okay.
Walks help me to deplete what I may be feeling. And then I just sometimes just gotta sit and just inhale and exhale. Look at the situation.
Yeah.
Is it really, really, really that important, or is it really, really, really that bad? I use bad because it is important, but is it really, really that bad that you gonna bust a vein or anything of that sort? No, it's not.
Right.
It's not. So I gotta reprogram my mind and my thinking to say, you know what? Yes, this is going on. And yes, this is frustrating me at this particular time. But you know what? I can get through this.
Yes.
I can get through this. It is just a temporary situation or a temporary emotion.
Yes, yes.
And things change. So before I go and take the roof off of my house,
oh my.
before I do all of that, I just realized, you know what? This too shall change.
Awesome. Wow, Miss Bianca, sound like you've kind of learned how to process that along to deal with your anger. That's excellent, excellent. And that's a current stance, correct? That's a current issue that you're dealing with, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. I see Miss Melinda is on with us. Is that you, Miss Melinda?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. You know, we're talking about breaking the cycle. You know, there's been like a cycle when we talk about these compulsive, addictive, and unhealthy behaviors. They've been in our lives so long, they've become like a routine. They're a part of our responses. So, yesterday we talked about internal triggers as well as external triggers. Internal triggers being more so those feelings when we feel afraid, when we feel criticized, when we feel happy, when we feel overconfident. And sometimes it triggers a thought in our mind, or it triggers us to feel some kind of way, and it causes a response. And that response can push us straight back into relapse mode, to relapse back to those behaviors, those unhealthy behaviors. So today we're talking about breaking that cycle. So have you identified any internal or external things that happen? Maybe we talked about external triggers, possibly when you're with friends. Does that, yeah, is that a trigger to trigger you to your unhealthy compulsive behaviors? Or maybe when you pass a certain street sign or a certain freeway sign, or maybe when you're enjoying yourself at the park, is that a trigger to these unhealthy behaviors? So whether it be an internal trigger or an external trigger, have you identified any trigger that triggers you to the thought to do the old compulsive behaviors? Go ahead and unmute your phone and share.
Well, first of all, giving reverence to God, who's the head of our life and our apostle. Well, I that my internal, I used to deal with eternal com frustration, compulsive frustration. It was a trigger to me because a certain thing happened to me when I was younger, and then when I would hear that certain person's voice, or when someone brought their name up, all
Yeah.
it would just send me to a frenzy. And then my behavior would be go get a drink, or my behavior would be go get something to self-medicate myself.
Right.
But what I have learned through my journey now, first of all, I had to forgive that person for
Wow.
what they had did to me. I had to wholeheartedly, do a self inventory. I mean, a deep self inventory down to my bone, down to my flesh, because I used to blame myself. Well, what part did I play in it? But as
Right.
me being a young child, I
Right.
didn't even know nothing about that, of nothing about until it happened. But then when I forgave that person, because when I went to the church that I attend to now, our leader says, and she allows us to know, first of all, we have to forgive people that have done something to us. When then after we forgive them, we have to forgive ourselves for
Yeah.
thinking bad thoughts about ourselves, especially when we didn't have nothing to do with that situation. So
Right.
what I've learned to do is first take a deep inventory of myself to see what part that I play in it. And if I did, I have to first of all ask that person for forgiveness, and then forgive myself. And then first of all, ask God to forgive me for the sin or whatever I have done. And
Yeah.
then everything else is falling line. So I can identify with that. Now, certain things do come up, internal and external. But the only thing I do, I just say, Lord, you know what? You help me work this situation out, especially if I don't have no one to talk to. And like, I'll walk it out, or either I'll talk it out, or
Mhm.
either I'll pray it out, or even, you know what? I'll write now. I have a
Oh,
journal.
great.
I write now because our leader told us about that too.
Wow.
Get something and write. You write until you can't write anymore.
Yeah.
And then I feel better. Then sometimes what I do, like if like my mom's birthday had came up and I was missing my mom. So what I did was I wrote a note to God, and I wrote a note to my mother
Oh,
saying how much I love her, how much I appreciate her, and everything. Then I tied it on the string of a balloon, and I let the balloon up. So therefore, that's what I do.
Wow. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I'm sure that's an ongoing pain, when you're missing your mom and, dealing with the trauma of traumatic events that's happened in your childhood. So I'm glad that you're doing those things, because those things are ongoing. We get better, and it sounds like you've gotten so much better. Excellent. Well, each of you have identified some sort of internal or external trigger, because what I want you guys to realize is that in these brains of ours, there's a process that's happening that we don't even know what's is going on. All we know sometimes, without this information, all we know is, you know what? Hey, I just felt like it. And next thing I know, I did it. So, hey, that's just who I am. That's just what I did. But you know what? That's not who you are. That's not just what happened. What happens is there's a cycle that goes in our brain. And what happens is we're trying to break that brain cycle. Our brain becomes rewired when trauma hits. When you were 7 years old, 10 years old, you may have had a nice, healthy childhood and everything was great, but maybe someone passed. Maybe someone touched you inappropriately. Maybe someone walked away. And sometimes we don't realize, but that event changed our lives forever. Forever. But we didn't realize it. We felt the pain of it then. And then we went outside and we played hopscotch, or we went and played double dutch, or we went on to school and we learned how to cope with what just happened. And then many times saying, I'm okay, when really we're not okay. But what happens is it changes the function, the wiring of the brain, because now here it is, your emotional response from that trauma, whatever happened around it, whether the birds were chirping, whether the sun was shining, whether it was a bright sunny day or it was a terrible gloomy day, what happens is your brain associates with everything that's around that situation, around that traumatic event or untraumatic around that event. So what happens is many times when we're trying to recover from things, we don't realize that maybe the birds chirping is what took us to that place. It triggered us to use. Maybe the rain, the gloom, we just feel so terrible, not knowing that we're triggered to that place. So one of the things that we want to look at today is our triggering, because the second thing that I want to ask is, now that you've identified your triggers, how can we prevent the exposure of the trigger? I'm going to take a look at my notes because I want to give you an example. Let's say if handling large amounts of money triggers you to want to use, then guess what? Now identifying that external trigger, I have to now understand that I'm not going to be handling large amounts of money until that trigger has lost its power in my life. So I may instead maybe talk to a confidant. Could you hold my money for me? Or maybe put money on an ATM card. Or maybe I want to get some kind of other banking system that I'm accountable to, so that I can only get so much money off my card a day. Because I know that if I get the opportunity to handle large money, it's not that I want to go and use, but what I find is that I'm triggered to go and use. Sometimes not even knowing that the money was the trigger, but I'm triggered to go and use. So what are some things that we can do to prevent the exposure of those triggers? I heard Miss Melinda talk about even the passing of her mother and how it hurt so much. And I hear her say that it used to be a time that she would go and use behind it. She would go and drink. But now, to keep from a depression, to keep from being shut down, to keep from any of those other unhealthy behaviors, what she does now is celebrate her mother's birthday. So she go and buy her balloons and write special messages to her and put it on the balloon and release it in the air, so that her mother, knowing her mother can't receive it, but she's using that that situation as a way of closure, as a way of releasing that pain, as a way of, even though I know that my mother is not going to be able to receive the balloon with the message, but emotionally, it's a response that I do for myself to stop that cycle from me going to the store and getting a beer and possibly going to use. So what is it that you do to stop it? Now, when we talk about stopping, I'm not just talking about old behaviors. I'm talking about those unhealthy behaviors that we have right now. You may not drink anymore. You may not smoke. Maybe you're promiscuous. Maybe you're quick to anger. You know, maybe you're an enabler. You enable people. Maybe you have a messiah complex. Maybe you go and you cause problems. You're very dramatic. Maybe whatever it is, maybe you create drama. You know, some people, I'm a mess starter. If we identify it, because we can't dominate what we don't identify. Maybe I'm a mess starter. So maybe I am a drug addict. Maybe I'm an alcoholic. So whatever the compulsive, addictive, whatever the overall unhealthy behavior is, what are you doing to identify the trigger so you can prevent the triggering and ultimately break this cycle? So tell me, how do you prevent? And Miss Melinda, she said a real good one. As a matter of fact, Miss Bianca, you mentioned a real good one as well. You said before the anger sets in, you recognize the trigger of the frustration. So therefore, once the frustration hits, you already know it's time to go take a walk. It's time to go do something different. So Miss Susu, I want to come back to you now. Have you identified a behavior that's current that you're trying to walk in more healthier ways with? Go ahead, unmute your phone and share.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
Oh, okay then. Well, yes, it's always been there. I guess like enabler, a stressor, you know. And what I call saying enabling, sometimes I do things or, try to prevent people from doing what is unhealthy, and I'm unhealthy myself by trying to help them, and then they're not getting, that will stress me out. And I've learned not to stress. I mean, I try to forget about it, but I still keep thinking about it at times, But like say, the one that went before, you have to put your mind somewhere else or something, But yeah, enabling, I don't want to be enabling anybody to unhealthy things, but you just don't want to see someone going down that dark path when you can kind of help them out. But then I found out me helping them out, it's not really helping them, it's harming them more and harming me also by thinking about it, and trying to help them. So I'm just asking God to help me, sometimes I have to just get from around the situation or not let it come to me and put my mind somewhere else. Lord, you handle this because I don't know what to do with it. I just don't know how to handle it. But that's what is stressors, and things gonna happen in your time. And I try to keep my mind away from others. I'm concerned, but I don't want to just, be right there in the midst of it, while they're going down and then my health is getting bad. So I try to, one thing is stay distant when I can from it and try not to harp on it or, I still can't think of that word. So, but anyway, when you keep on engaging with them or with it.
Compulsive behaviors.
Yes, and you find yourself getting upset with them, which I shouldn't, because this is their life, and nothing I can do about it but stress out with it. So I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to stay distant somewhat. May give a call or whatever, but it's just hard it's hard. But I'm learning. There's nothing I can do about it. Only God can handle that,
Wow.
I can't say wrong or however it go like that, the saying. But anyway, that's mine, those stressors and, enablers. And I'm trying my best, not to do that. because I love, and when you love, so you be blinded, to what's going on. And
Yeah.
you might see what's going on, know what's going on, but oh, I can correct this, this can be corrected. Let me help them out a little bit. You do
Right.
this or that. And then you get upset when they don't. And then you disappointed too. So, but that's so thank you.
That's a hard one. That's definitely a hard one, Miss Susu, because especially being of the faith, and you guys excuse me, it's rather hot in the studio today, but when you're of the faith, you find that it's your charge to help people, but then we don't really learn the boundary of where to forbear from helping people. We don't really know the boundary when we're taking their power away, because we're feeling like we're steady helping them. We're still helping them, and we're trying to promote them to a better place, when actually we're just helping them to stay stuck in the bad place. Because what changes us, in order to get to the change that's ahead, we have to experience what's in the moment. And what's in the moment for a person sometimes is a lesson. And if they don't get the lesson, then they don't move forward in their change as well. And sometimes the lesson, even though the lessons are very hard, to the person that loved them, that's looking and observing their process, the lesson is sometimes rather hard, and we want to catch them. And mother, it's definitely okay to catch a person, but when we're continuing to catch that person, of course, we find ourselves taking their power away, and then we're becoming their process. We're becoming their ease, and they never learn. So I know that's a hard one, and I'm so glad that you're here. Not too long ago, we talked about healthy boundaries, and maybe you can check the subscription, and you can go ahead and view that one as well, because it's very important that we set these healthy boundaries, because as we shared then, and as you shared now, it could be bad on your health. It can be bad on your schedule. It can be bad on your life. It can be bad on your emotional health. You're focused on them. And like you said, I get angry when they don't carry out, when they don't do what I think they're supposed to do. Well, now we're controlling them on how they should live their life, when we're just really trying to help them. So those healthy boundaries. And I'm glad you're here, because that's a hard one. So I want to ask you, now that you've identified something current, what are some of the triggers that trigger you to enable? Go ahead, unmute your phone and share.
Okay, when I see them, some of them, they're in their addiction,
Mm-hmm.
It is, and I just want to help them out, but and then they like ignore me or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
this is not right. And then I might see someone out there when I can give them a shelter or something, but I don't want to keep doing that. I don't want to keep bringing, people in or getting them shelter or whatever, because they're dependent on you. Because when they do it, then they know you're going to take care of them,
Right.
And I don't know. It's hard sometimes. Like I say, you won't answer the call, or you won't answer the door, but it's hard though, And I just pray their safety. I just pray their safety wherever they are, whatever they're doing. And I just say it's a trigger when they're there, and then to be rebellious to you,
Yeah.
They're disrespectful to you, then it makes you mad, upset. So, and you just want to leave them alone. And then after it's over with, you're right back concerned and care for them. But I just pray the Lord give me strength enough to turn, to do what I'm supposed to do, when I'm supposed to do, and let go what I need to let go, So I just ask God for help on that one. Too. It's hard, especially when it's somebody close or you love one or something too.
Oh,
even
yeah.
somebody just out there, sure. But they're gone though, because you don't really know them, but especially if someone's close,
Yes, especially. And that's when enabling really kicks in the most. That's why people with addictions and other unhealthy behaviors, it's like they'll have someone in their life that's not comfortable until they're comfortable. And right now, they're not even controlled by themselves. They're controlled by that disease of addiction. So,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. And I thank you for sharing that. And I understand that is a hard one. And so one of the things I also hear you say, when you say seeing them in a certain state triggers you to enable because you want to help. So knowing that you're helping has crossed the boundary and you're no longer helping, but you're enabling them, you're keeping them stuck. What do you do to deal with that trigger now? And I heard you say, Lord, please help me. You pray. That's beautiful. Prayer goes a long way. And I want to ask what else you do, because you sound like a woman of God to me. You sound like a believer. And as I was sharing the other day, God will give you that gift, but he's not going to come and he may give you the gift of a house, but he's not going to come every 6 months and paint your house or come maintain your roof or mow your lawn. So there's some things we have to do because we believe that faith without works is dead. You believe that, woman of God?
Amen. Yes, I do.
Amen. That sounds like agreement to me. So what works do you put in when you pray and you say, God, help me not to enable. Don't let me stop their process. What do you do? How do you deal with that trigger differently? When you first pray, then what are your works?
Then sometime I deny them, deny helping, after almost like turn your back, and just leave it in the Lord's hand. It's just like your hands up, you turn your head away and let them deal with the consequences. It hurts, it's hard, when you can hear them, your phone ringing off the hook, but
yeah,
Lord, I can't. Just turn away.
Awesome. That's it's hard, but that's good, Mother. That's good. Mother Susu. You remind me of my mother. I'm sorry. But Miss Susu, that's a wonderful situation, a wonderful process that you have there. I'm going to read to you the losing argument, because have you ever been in that situation where you have this new pattern of your life so that you don't go back to those compulsive behaviors, like Miss Susu was saying, going back to enabling, or going back to using or drinking, or going back to anger, as we've discussed on this line. Many times when we experience that trigger, many times that trigger moves us. Remember, there's that cycle that goes through the trigger. It triggers a thought or an emotion, and then it creates a response, whether it's a craving, whether it's a feeling of depression, whatever it is. It pushes us closer to relapsing in our enabling, relapsing in our using and drinking, relapsing in our anger. So what we're going to do is identify when we're going through that argument in our head. Now I'm going to read to you a little paragraph I have here about the losing argument. So you may have decided to turn away from your unhealthy behaviors, and you end up moving towards them again, because what happens is your brain gives you permission to use it to move back into that old behavior, that compulsive, unhealthy behavior. Your brain gives you the permission. This is called relapse justification. So I'm justifying why I'm helping now. I'm justifying why I'm going to go have that drink. I'm justifying why I'm going to have that anger. Look, those thoughts can start an argument inside your head. It's your rational self versus that old addictive self, that old rewired brain. You feel as though you're in a fight, and you must come up with many reasons to stay in your recovery from that behavior. Your compulsive behavior is really just looking for an excuse for a relapse justification. The argument inside of you is a part of the series of events leading you back to your old behaviors. So when we talk about relapse justification, that means that in your brain, I want to explain something to you, that upper brain and that lower brain. What happens is there's some things that you've done routinely without thinking. There's, you've thrown caution to the wind. There's no thought about it. You just do it routinely. But now understanding that we have what's called relapse justification, whereas our brain tells us, well, you know what? You've never seen them that low before. It's okay to go and help them. Or, you know what? Your mother wouldn't mind if you took a drink today. She understands your pain. If she was here, she would probably say, it's okay, daughter. Or your anger. Well, you didn't go to jail the last time this situation happened and you got angry. So go ahead and do it. So in our brain, it's like we're in a fight. Your upper brain and your lower brain, they're supposed to work in collaboration, but sometimes because your upper brain is that higher learning stance and your lower brain is that part of the brain that gives you the motivation, the goal to do. So the upper brain is your more intellect and your lower brain is that one that says go, 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 go. I give you an example. I'm trying to keep the reflection of the light out of my glasses, but I'm gonna give you an example. When you go to the car dealership, what happens is you go in there and you have in your intellectual brain, you know what? I'm not going in here to get a car that's going to give me an over $300 car note. You have your perfect plan. You've budgeted. Everything is fine. And so my intellect says, when I get in this car dealership, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell them I want to do the paperwork first. I want to find out about how much money I'm able to spend before I go and look at the car. But when you get there, what's the car dealer going to do? He's going to invite you to come to the floor. Let's go to the floor where all the nice cars are. What kind of car do you like? Do you like a sunroof? Do you like leather seats, or would you prefer fabric? Do you like a radio station, a radio, or would you care for a CD? Well, we have backup cameras, we have all this, that, and other. And you're like, oh, okay, wow, that sounds great. And then you go, and so they say, this is the car for you. They put you in the car. How does that feel? Leather feels good on your back? That's good. Turn the radio on. What's your favorite station? Oh, 92.7. Let me go ahead and put that in for you. Want to take a test drive? Oh, no, thank you. Let's take a test drive. Start the motor. Nice motor, huh? Nice and smooth. Come on, let's take a drive out. Oh boy, you feel it. How you smooth. Put on your favorite music. Oh, you feeling good. What are you doing? You're creating association. Your adrenaline, your norepinephrine, your dopamine, your feel good chemicals are kicking in. They're working you. So now by the time you get back and you sit at that seat, how much is that car? $45,000, $55,000. Oh, okay, no problem. What's the monthly note on that? It's going to be $785.25. And then your intellectual brain is saying, we can't do that. Remember, we can only afford $300, but your $300 a month. But your lower brain is saying, we got this. We can do this. We ain't got to eat every day. We can have beans. Beans are cheap. You got this. You can be full. You ain't got to pay your rent. Your landlord, he's good. He'll let you pay it every other month. You start justifying and giving justification to why you need to go in this unhealthy budget and financial behavior. So relapse justifications, those are the arguments that happen in your brain when you're saying intellectually, no, I don't need to do that. I'm going to not continue with that behavior. But your lower brain is saying, go, go, go. Just do it. Just do it. You got this. Don't you have faith? Won't you just go ahead and do it? You can do that. And all of a sudden, you're in a bad situation when we listen to our lower brain. So that losing argument that's trying to give that relapse justification. Now I want to read something else to you, and it's called Thoughts Become. because we remember that we talked about our thoughts. Our thoughts become our words become our actions become our habits become our destiny, and our destiny becomes our future. Excuse me, our habits become our character, and our character becomes our destiny. So it all starts with a thought. So I have to monitor my thoughts. So a man thinketh, so is he. So I have to change my thoughts. All change comes from here. It comes from here before I can even accept the miracle from God. I have to change my mind. That's why we talk about repenting, turning away from those things that are unlawful or unhealthy to do. So when we find that sometimes our desire, our craving, our push, it doesn't happen in straightforward ways, or sometimes they're not easily recognized. Often they pass through our head with little or no effect, but it takes effort for us to identify, to stop that thought. Now, in our recovery process, guys, we have to remember to take the initiative to stop the thoughts that come in our head. Thoughts to go gamble, thoughts to go have promiscuous sex, unprotected sex, thoughts to go and enable, thoughts to, I'm going to go bust them up, thoughts to go use. We have to recognize when the thought is in our head. And once we recognize it, we can do something about it. And that's what we're going to talk about today, doing something about it. This is called thought-stopping techniques. And I want you to say thought-stopping techniques. Yes, thought-stopping techniques. And I'm going to share them with you because we have to first learn about thought-stopping. I got to stop the thought before it's in action. The key to success, I've noted, is not to let the process begin. The trigger, the thought, the response, and the relapse. I gotta break that cycle. I gotta stop it. At the trigger, I'm triggered. If there's something that I know to do, then I need to stop it. But sometimes we just run up on triggers sometimes. I was driving down the street and all of a sudden I saw my loved one and I was moved to help them. I was driving down the street and my frustration overwhelmed me and my anger popped up. I was driving down the street and I saw a guy that I used to use drugs with, and it triggered me. I wasn't planning for these things. So I'm not able to prevent it from happening because it's happening right before my eyes. So now that it is, the best place to break this cycle is at the thought. So once the trigger happens and it manifests the thought in our minds, the best place for me to stop it is right here. Because if I move over into craving or my emotional responses or my behavioral responses, it's hard to pull back from that place. But if I can kill it at the thought, then I can miss relapsing on the behavior. So let's talk about some thought-stopping techniques. Now, one thought-stopping technique that I want to share with you is visualization. Visualization. Sometimes when the trigger is there and the thought comes up, at this thought, I can try a thought-stopping technique and stop that cycle from continuing. But if I entertain the thought, even the Bible tells us not to entertain those things that are not of him. So if I choose to entertain the thought, then I'm choosing to relapse. I'm choosing to go back to those unhealthy behaviors. I'm choosing that. And I just want us to understand this. This is me making a conscious choice that if I entertain the thought, I'm going to move forward, because as a believer, we know, so a man thinketh, so is he. So if I don't want to be that, I have to change my thoughts. So today we're going to practice some thought-stopping techniques. The first one is visualization. When that thought comes to mind, you can take this moment to visualize. Visualize yourself driving away. Visualize yourself turning your back. Visualize yourself thinking about what it is that you got to cook for dinner tonight. Visualize yourself in a safe place. Visualize what is it that you can visualize when you are upon that temptation, you're upon that craving, you're upon that moment to move into relapse. What can you do? What can you visualize? What is something safe and effective for you to visualize in order to stop that cycle of relapse? Go ahead, unmute your phone, anyone.
A good plate of food.
Oh, yes. Yes, I love that. A good plate of food. Boy, I can visualize in order to stop that thought, I got to change it. So I'm gonna think about maybe a good plate of food that my mother cooked, or a good plate of food that I get at my favorite restaurant, or something that way. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Miss Susu. Anybody else? What can we visualize? Anyone want to take a stab at that one?
This is Melinda. A nice cold glass of iced tea.
Woo! Yes. I love that. When that thought to go have a drink come up, I'm going to stop that thought and I'm going to visualize a nice cold glass of iced tea. I love that. Thank you so much. We can change our thoughts and we can now visualize something different. But guess what? That's not the only thing we can do. I got some more notes here for you. I want to talk about snapping. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but when I used to do biofeedback therapy, I learned of this technique. What you do is you take a rubber band and you
I've heard.
I'm sorry?
I've heard of that.
You heard of that? Have you ever tried
Yes.
it, Miss Bianca?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Please share. Please tell me about that.
So, the snapback, the rubber band method. You put a rubber band or something tight around your arm.
Okay.
And so when there's different thoughts come up, you take that rubber band and you pull it and you let it go.
Woo!
And that pain will catch your attention and get your mind off of whatever it was that you was thinking about. But I really have found that when I first heard of that, it was like, what? Really? That sound like a bunch of hogwash to me. But I've had the opportunity to put it to work. And I found out if you use it, it works. And so I have been in some situations where, that situation would cause me to maybe be frustrated or some other things. And I get that rubber band on my arm and I pop it and it helps. It really do help. It's as simple as it sound, or maybe as crazy as it sounds. It really, really, really has its benefits. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Oh, Miss Bianca, thank you for taking a stab at that when you cut that beef up, girl. Because I want to say she's absolutely right. Snapping, you put a rubber band around your arm, or now they have like these little rubber bracelets and things. Sometimes you wonder, you may see some people and they have rubber bands around their arm. You thinking maybe they're just storing up rubber bands to tie up paper, but sometimes they're using what's called a grounding technique. And we're going to talk about grounding maybe tomorrow, but they're using a grounding technique of snapping. And what they do is just like Miss Bianca said, they take that rubber band when that trigger comes, when that external or internal trigger comes, that trigger you to a thought of that old behavior or walking therein, before your mind, your heart, or your behavior responds to it, they take that rubber band, they pull it back. And I want to add something. Say no. Because what you're doing is you're retraining your brain so that the association of that thing is no longer one that you want to stay in, but now it has an association of pain. It has an association of no. It has an association of a strong resistance. So whenever you're in that place and you're experiencing that thought, Put your have your rubber band around your arm. Now you don't have to do all of these. All of these are just suggestions of thought stopping. And you pull that rubber band, you tell yourself no to that thought. I'm not going to continue to think that thought. I'm not going to go and get that beer. I'm not going to enable and stop their process. I am not going to get angry and lose my character. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to pull that rubber band. I'm going to pop myself. Now, we're not talking about just a little bit. We want to feel the sting, because what we're trying to do is change years and years and years of wiring, excuse me. It's just like, I don't know if you've heard of the theory with the mice, how they had scientists, they used mice for their research, and they had mice, and we know that if you have mice in your home, you can turn on the light and the mice is going to scatter. They live in darkness. They've learned how to survive from living in darkness, not being out in the open. So one scientist, he did an experiment, and what he did, he got the mouse addicted to cocaine. He put cocaine in his cage. He got him addicted to cocaine. So normally when he let him out, whether he'd give him the option by way of tunneling to either go into darkness or to go into light. Now, before the cocaine, he would always go into the darkness, because that was years of training, grooming, conditioning in order to survive, right? But with the cocaine, what he did, he would put the cocaine or something that the brain, that the mouse looks at as cocaine, he put it in the light. And so what he did then, when he opened up the cage and he gave him the choice of the tunnel of darkness or the tunnel of light, he chose light, because the cocaine was in the light. So what am I saying? I'm saying that sometimes these compulsive, unhealthy behaviors will rewire our brain from years and years and years of learning what's safe for us, what's good for us, what's we've been conditioned to survive in, what's best for us. We'll put ourselves in danger. I like how Miss Susu said, sometimes the stress and the worry, and that all that comes when she enables people. She wants them to do the right thing according to what she thinks the right thing is. So therefore, she'll put herself in danger to enable them to what she calls a healthier place. And it may very well be a healthier place, but it's not that person's choice. So it puts her in a place where now she's worried, now she's concerned, now she can't sleep at night, now she, whatever her factors are. So we find that we put ourselves in a dangerous predicament to get what it is, to satisfy that unhealthy behavior that we're practicing. So that snapping, sometimes you have to pull that rubber band back, because we're rewiring the brain now to stop looking at that thought as a solution or even as an option. So sometimes, so the pain has to be there. It snap and say no. All right. I'm going to go into the next one because we're running short on time. Relaxation. Sometimes we just need to take care of ourselves. Sometimes when that thought comes, when we're triggered to that thought and that thought is there, this is when I got to take care. I have to take a moment to take care of me. What are my needs? Now that I'm triggered, because remember we talked about that also the other day. What are some of the needs that I'm ignoring? Those whispers that I'm still not listening to. And now they're screaming at me because I'm not listening to them. It's just like you have a cold, you hear the congestion, and you notice that your breathing is restricted. And so you're saying, I got a cold, but you never take care of yourself. You're out using or enabling people, or, tyranting in your anger, that you don't take care of yourself. And now the whispers of it, because it's been it has had no attention. Now we find that it's screaming at us. Now we can't breathe at all. Now we're full blown in a situation where we have the full blown flu. Well, emotionally, the same thing happens when we're busy in our compulsive, unhealthy behaviors. What happens is we forget to take care of ourselves, and so now we begin to worsen in our condition. So at that time, when we're thinking about going to operate in those unhealthy behaviors, let's stop and let's take a moment and say, you know what? Let me take care of me right now. Let me switch my thought to, I'm going to take care of me. So I want to ask you, what can you do in that relaxation to stop that thought? What can you do? What do you need to do to take care of you? Go ahead, anyone, unmute your phone and share.
Take time to listen to some soothing music, like ocean, like an ocean breeze, or a fresh wind blowing, or just something smooth, something that's earth toning, something that you could just relax your mind. You could just listen to it, and you put it in your mind, you put it in your thoughts, you put it in the feeling that you feeling, and then all of a sudden, while you listening to that nice music, it'll take you away. Your
Yes.
thoughts will drift away as each beat or each symbol or each like a wave, like the music of a wave. Your thoughts are going to that wave, and then the wave will just take that thought off. Something
Wow.
soothing music.
I like that. I like that, Miss Belinda. Put on something soothing, some good music, maybe even some jazz or the earth sounds or sounds of the ocean, whatever it is you into. Find out what's your safe place. Some people love being at the beach and they're soothed by the beach. So, like she said, put on some sounds of the ocean. Put yourself in that safe place. Don't entertain and dance with that dangerous thought. Put yourself in a safe place. I love that, Melinda. Thank you. Anyone else? What other soothing relaxation can you offer yourself to remove yourself from that thought?
So sometimes a good movie, if you can kind of focus on that, a good, nice comedy movie,
Ah,
nice, clean comedy movies.
yes. Oh my God, that's perfect. That's one of my personal favorites, especially back in the day before I became conditioned and being able to practice my thought stopping. One of the things that I used to do is just throw myself into a comedy, something that has nothing to do with me, have nothing to do with my life. Something I could just look at, something that's uncommon. What was mine? Two and a Half Men. That's something that has nothing to do with me. It doesn't identify to my life at all. Charlie Sheen, yeah, doesn't identify with my life at all. I can look at something that has no trigger, no reminder to my own life, and I can just sit there and laugh out of that moment. That was excellent, Miss Susu. A good, clean comedy, even if it's hard to find a clean anything nowadays, but something that does not resemble your situation at all, something that does not resemble anything about you so that you're not triggered into those unhealthy behaviors. That was a good one. Thank you, Miss Susu. Miss Bianca, did you have one to share? What can you do to give yourself relaxation so that you're not fixated in that unhealthy thought process that you've been triggered to?
I would like to say that I was gonna say both of those, but and it is both of those. But for me, it's just throwing myself into some other activity.
Mm.
You know, some may say, well, for me, if I'd start maybe cleaning up or rearranging something, it'll take my mind off of whatever it is that I might have been thinking about. As long as I wasn't thinking about a dirty house, but if I was thinking about that, that's not gonna work at all. But yeah, I would say that for me, just the change, get involved into something else.
Yes.
Get us involved in something else. I like to write when I do like to write. So writing, you know, sing it. I can't sing, but I like to try anyway.
Hey.
So those are some of
Everyone
the
sounds good
things.
in the shower.
Yeah, those are some of the things I do like. The music with the ocean and different things like that, and a nice movie that makes you laugh. So those two. But yeah, those will be the things I would say.
Hey, excellent. That is awesome. That is great. I want to say journaling, just like Melinda said that her leader has instructed them. Journaling is awesome, because you're now able to write out those feelings. And sometimes your feelings just need to be acknowledged. Your thoughts just need to be acknowledged. So sometimes writing things out, can put you in a different place, because I don't want to entertain the thought. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write it out. I'm maybe going to write out some of the consequences of me entertaining that thought and practicing that enabling behavior or that using behavior. I'm going to write those things out. Now, also, we find that, as Ms. Bianca said, throwing yourself into a project, cleaning the house, because even though it may not be as relaxing, what happens is you also get the opportunity to satisfy. You're doing something for yourself. Remember, that's what the whole relaxing portion is. It's about looking at what your needs are, looking at what I need to do for me while I'm trying to stop this unhealthy behavior. What I'm going to do is look within and find out, what do I need to do for me? So let me go and wash the dishes. And after I wash the dishes, let me clean the stove. And after I clean the stove, let me rearrange the cabinets, clean out the refrigerator, engulf yourself into a project, because you're helping you now. You're helping you stop you from these unhealthy behaviors. So guess what? You're helping yourself double time. That's excellent. And
And
my
a nice,
go ahead.
sorry,
No,
and
go ahead.
a nice, good, soothing bath.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that helps too.
Yes, kind of like Melinda said, let the waves just take you away. So like you say, my waves are going to be safely in my bathtub. Calgon, take me away. I love it.
Yes.
That's an excellent one. Taking a relaxing bath. We talk about candles and this, that, and the other, and that would be awesome if you into that. Sometimes you don't want to deal with no candles all around you and got to clean up the wax afterwards. Whatever your stilo is, let's take care of ourselves, because that also helps us from those unhealthy behaviors. My last one for today is 116, 115. My last one for today is reach out, call somebody. Don't sit there stressing on this thought. If you should go do this or should that, you just fighting with yourself. You in that argument with yourself in your own head. Let's call somebody. Let's reach out. Sometimes you don't have to tell them what you're going through. Because remember, I'm just trying not to entertain the thought right now. So maybe I don't need to call my supportive people. I don't need to call my supportive people right now, but I need to call somebody so I can get out of my head. So sometimes you may say, let me just call, my friend. Let me call my spouse at work. Just see what they're doing. Hey, how you doing? What you doing? Having a good day? What that boss say today? Did they say anything bad? Okay, everything going okay? You make your numbers today? Good. Oh, okay. Did you ever take care of those shoes? Oh, okay. All right. Oh, you gotta go? Oh, okay, no problem. Just checking on you. Bye. And if that thought is still there, guess what? Pick up the phone. We have more than two people in these cell phones. If it's somebody you ain't talked to in years, hey, how you doing? What made you call me, child? I was just sitting there thinking about you. I was just wanting to say hi. You know, engulf yourself in a conversation. If you don't have anyone, if you don't feel comfortable calling someone just out of the blue, get your supportive people in place to help support you through these hard times. When you're going on a trip, when I'm going out of town, I tell my family where I'm going. I let them know, hey, I'm going to be taking a plane. I'm going to San Francisco. I'll be there Thursday and Friday, and then I'm coming back. So if anything happens to me, they know where I was going, and they knew what time, around what day I should have been there, and when I was expected back. So what that means is, in a trip, things can happen. So somebody need to know, where are you, so they can help you if you need to be helped. So we need to have some supportive people in place. Look, I'm trying to overcome some unhealthy behaviors. This is where I'm going. It's going to take me a while to get there. So if you can just kind of know, just in case I need help along the way, I'd appreciate it. So if I call you, I need help. Maybe you can call me, because I need help. It's okay to be vulnerable to those that you trust, because if I'm vulnerable today, I can be strong tomorrow. So I thank you, each and every one of you, for chiming in today and obtaining your power in change. So I want to ask, does anyone on this line have 5 people that you can call when you're triggered into that thought, and that thought occurs to go and do whatever the unhealthy behaviors are? When that thought comes, instead of entertaining the thought, do you have 5 people you can call? Do you have 4?
Yes.
Is there 3 people you can call?
Yes, I have 5 people I can call as well.
Excellent, excellent. What about you, Miss Susu? Do you have a support system around you?
Yes, I can call some folks.
Awesome.
8 folks.
8 folk, that's good. Let's start with the one. Let's start with the one, because as we continue to move forward and enter into our change that's ahead, guess what? We're going to accumulate more supportive people, because long as we're walking into our change that's ahead, we're walking away from those old behaviors. So now we're going to walk into some new people, some new functions, some new itineraries, some new cycles, some new things to do, some new events, some new places to go. You're going to become a little risque, because you're going to learn of new things that you like to do and people to do it with, rather than just continuing in the cycle of your old behaviors. So, hey, that's it for us today. Are there any questions or comments that you'd like to make before we close out today?
I
Yes,
just
I
want to
did.
clarify, excuse me, it's just going to be a moment. I just want to clarify that I have several people that I can call,
Okay.
that I need to. And I just thank God for the word. I just thank God for your apostle. Just so much, information, life changing, to help change our life for the better, things
Yeah.
that we don't have to go through, have to hold on to. And I just thank
Right.
God for this meeting. Amen.
Thank you, Miss Susu. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is Miss Melinda. I just want to first of all thank God for you taking your time out, for God putting it in your heart, in your mind, and in your spirit to take time out of your daily activities to assess us of the things that we don't know, the things that how to cope with things that come around, instead of going out doing dangerous things or putting our things in and putting it in our mind to do things that we shouldn't do. That we have, other than God, we have some support group that we could come to Monday through Friday, and we could talk about, let our hair down, just talk about anything, and just let go and let God, So I'm really, really grateful for you and for everyone on this line, because each one teach one, and I'm grateful. Everybody on this line have a blessed day, and remember to go with God.
Thank you so much, Belinda. Thank you so much, Miss Susu. God bless you both. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Miss Bianca, any last words, questions, or comments before we close out today?
Yes, I just wanted to say that I truly enjoyed this lesson, as I have enjoyed those previous lessons also. And I just want to say to Miss Susu, I understand what it feels like to be a enabler, because I've dealt with that for so many different for so long of a time. I've dealt with that. Wanted to see the person get what they need, wanted to be the one to help them get what they need, going beyond the calls, because I just felt like, if I don't do it, ain't nobody else gonna do it. Or it could be my own mindset that's saying, you know what, because of you or who you are, you supposed to, we get that all the time. You supposed to do this. But in reality, I realized that during the times when I was enabling people, I really was not helping them at all. And it became where they didn't even try to help their own self because they knew that I would be there to be able to enable them
Yes.
to do whatever it is that they was trying to do, or whatever their situation may have been. I know if I call her, she's going to do accordingly because she's not going to want to see this, that, or the other happen to me, which is a true fact. I really don't want to see this, that, or the other happen to anyone. So it really was. I was really put into into a tough situation where I had to just kind of back off, back up and let them grow through where they was going to. And let them experience their own growing pains, because they all have journeys that they had to walk in. If I enable them, then in reality, what are they really learning? Who are they really trusting in? Then I will become their God. They will trust me instead of trusting, the creator.
Yeah.
And so it was really a hard thing because it was family members. It was people that I was really close to and all that, and then I realized that sometimes when you helping people and you enable them, they don't look out for your feelings. They could, I'm sorry, for me, it just seemed like they could care less about my feelings. And so it was all about what they could do, what they could get, and that's just the way it was supposed to be. And then in reality, I was the one that was hurt, or I was the one that was mistreated, misused, take advantage of, or whatever the word may be for whatever certain person it may have been. So I do understand, but I would encourage you, as hard as it is, I would encourage you to do everything that you can do to not to be an enabler, because in the long run, you're not really helping. You're not helping at all. You're more or less hindering them. You're more or less stopping their process from them getting what they really need to get, because we don't want them to receive the consequences. We don't want them to receive the consequences. So we'll try to cover them, or we'll try to take the consequences ourselves, but in reality, it's their consequences. It grows them. Pain equals, to me, it equals progress.
Yeah.
If you go through something, you would appreciate it better if you went through it. I know people say experience is the best teacher. I hear what they say, but some stuff you just don't have to experience. But what I am saying is that when you go through your process, there is progress. But if I hinder you from going through your process, then I stagnate you from getting to the progress. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Miss Bianca. Miss Susu, did you have a response?
Yes, yes, and I thank you so much for that, Miss Bianca, and that I have experienced too, and I'm in the process of, backing up, because as you say, you're trying to help them, and they come to you, they slap you in the face. Yeah, I knew you was gonna do it. You're there. You're gonna do this. They know you as to be the helper, enabler, and as you said, that's stunning them. And I do want them to go through the process, but I can say I am trying, and I'm stepping back more. And I thank you for sharing your feelings also. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. This is what the group dynamic is all about. We can always speak one-on-one, but the group dynamic is a power in people helping people. So today it's 1:25. So Any others before we close out today? I don't want to miss anyone.
Yes, this is Miss Melinda. I was thank you for Miss Bianca and Miss Susu and the leader of this meeting, because I was faced with a situation like that earlier yesterday, and it went over into today, and I was praying and asked God to please help me with that situation. And look, lo and behold, I got my answer on the group chat. In less than 48 hours, he worked it out. So I am really, 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 really grateful for Miss Bianca and Miss Susu and the leader of the meeting. Thank you very much. Now I know how to handle this situation. I have to let go and let God and let them people, let the person figure it out for themselves. Because like someone that's close to me, when we trying to figure it out, God has already worked it out.
Yeah.
So everybody have a blessed afternoon. Thank you, Miss Bianca and Miss Susu and the leader. Thank you very much. I needed that. I needed that. I mean, seriously, I needed. I was asking God, God, give me a sign, give me some directions. And lo and behold, I got it. So thank you.
Right here on the line. Wow. You know what? Again, I like to say those moments remind us that God can do for us what we can't do for ourselves. And in the area of enabling, God definitely can do for that person that you're enabling more than you could ever do for them yourself. So we just gotta, like how Miss Bianca say, I gotta remove myself so that I don't become their God. I don't become their source. They may not worship me, but whenever they're in need, they come to me rather than going to God. So I thank you for that, for sharing that, Miss Melinda. God answers prayer. God answers prayer. God answers prayer. And like she said, I was just going through it. So let's just keep believing, let's keep trusting, but also remember, we also have to do something. Faith without works is dead. She prayed about it, she called into the line, and guess what? God gave her an answer. So what we want to do, we want to just continue to do likewise. We want to continue so that we can get to that change. Yeah. That change that's ahead of us, because I want you to know that these little steps that we're doing step by step by step is walking us into change. I always use my son as an example. He used to be very small and frail, but guess what? He looked at himself one day and he said, you know what? I don't like what I see. Whether he said it in his mouth or said it in his mind, that thought transitioned him into the place of change. So he started lifting the weights. Yes, it was hard. He started eating the right foods. Yes, it was hard. But guess what? If me as mom would have just jumped in and said, oh, let me lift these weights for you. Or, oh, wait a minute. Let me go. Let me eat that food for you. You ain't got to eat that nasty food with no seasoning on it. Let me eat it for you. Oh, let me go lift all that resistance for you. Who's going to get conditioned? I'm going to get conditioned, but he's going to be stuck in the same place. So change is ahead, but we have to make the small steps to walk us into change. So again, guys, it's 1:30. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. You guys are great. I salute you definitely for you believing in yourself, believing in God, and doing something to get to that change. God bless you all. And we'll be here tomorrow at 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock to 1:30. God bless you. Live free, guys.